a lot of heat for the traffic, and I think she's taken a lot of heat for her stand on development, and certainly Fairfax politicians are taking a lot of heat for downzoning.
In fact, it's the local government's zoning decisions, development policies that create the very traffic that they're wrestling with, crying to the governor about. So you can't just blame the governor. In the district, the mayor, and rightly so, is the governor and the mayor and the county council member.
He's going to be so happy to hear you say this stuff.
Well,
he's told me a billion times. I learned it. But the fact is, the mayor is responsible in the district across the board. In Virginia, it's a diverse group of people. But you know, in Northern Virginia, you've lost the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee. Dorothy McDermott retired. So whatever Doug Wilder wants to do, you've lost it to, I think, what Bob Ball in Richmond is now the new Appropriations Chairman.
There's just not a lot of spare change in this budget to spend it on transportation for Northern Virginia or anything else, and Doug Wilder's going to have to cope with that.
How big of a noose is this going to be around his head, seeing as how he doesn't have any money to work with?
Well, it could be a noose or it could be something else. Chuck Robb faced a similar thing 8 years ago when he came in, budget crunch. He used it to his advantage. Look, I'm not a liberal Democrat. I can make budget cuts and not raise taxes as well as any Republican. I think that's one of the things that makes Chuck so popular now as a national Democrat, particularly as a Democrat in Virginia that's got national aspirations. He's not a liberal, and maybe Doug Wilder can do a similar thing.
Well, of course, and he comes in a historic fashion, the first elected black governor in the nation's history. He has a charismatic personality. I think one of the state delegates said he could charm the bark off of a tree, which he may have to do in the upcoming months. And yet, so expectations are high, and a lot is thought of him. But at the same time, he's got to perform, or the expectations will plummet.
Well, let me ask this question of each and every one of you, and that is, how long of a honeymoon will Douglas Wilder have? Will Governor Wilder have? I mean, how long are they going to give him?
48 hours.
Tom?
Oh, I think with a solidly controlled Democratic legislature, the Governor Wilder will have a pretty good 4 years.
Dave?
I would agree. I think he's got quite a bit of time on his side, and I think he'll probably act well within the time he's got.
I'm not sure of that. I think that he's going to have to go right on into doing some very hard work very soon and make some very unpopular decisions.
I think I'm going to have to agree with Laverne on that. I have a feeling that what's going to happen is that he's going to face what I will coin right now the Barry syndrome, which is the minute things start to go wrong, instead of blaming the local delegates and instead of blaming the people on the Fairfax County Board, they're going to start saying, what about the governor? You know, the governor's supposed to
wait a minute. He's not Marion Barry. And as we just said, Virginia isn't like the district. There's more of a bureaucracy there. So I think a lot of things are different.
But he's going to be a visible governor as opposed to a governor that wasn't really that visible. I mean, Governor Belials was a good legislator and a good person.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You're talking about one of the premier legislators in the Senate. Doug Wilder overcame all kinds of obstacles to be one of the most. He was one of the top 5.
But a lot of those Democrats that you talk about are people he doesn't get along with. People like your old friend Hunter Andrews. They'd love to embarrass him, whether the Democrats or not.
Sure, they're going to rough him up a little bit. They're not going to let him have a free ride. But the Democrats like being in charge, and they're not going to have Doug Wilder fail, so the Republicans can run somebody 4 years from now and say, look what a failure Doug Wilder was. It's not in their interest. They're sure they'll kick him a little bit, but they're not going to knock him over.
Laverne, help me on this. Is he going to have a nice honeymoon?
No, I think he's going to have to roll his sleeves up and get on in there and fight the big fight.
All right, let's talk about another honeymoon that is not over yet, but it might enter into the controversy once again, and that's the word is out on the streets that Reverend Stallings with the Imani Temple may move to canonize Dr. Martin Luther King. Is that true? And if so, what's the feedback going to be?
It's true. I talked with Father Stallings this week, and he called to say that that's what's going to happen. He is going to do it. He's going to do it Sunday. He thought this was a fitting time to do it, and he is looking at it as a move of some proportion, and certainly that it will be something that the Catholic Church will begin to be upset about once again. And he's very clear on what he wants to do with that.
For some of us who aren't Catholic, I mean, can you just do that? I mean, how does that happen?
Well,
no,
see,
you can't.
Well, one of the things that he said is he gave me the whole system. Okay.
Okay? What's the short version of how does he do it? The short version
is two steps. You declare someone blessed. You then petition the Pope, and after paying a fee, the Pope
paying a fee to be a saint.
It's not a fee.
And evidence of 3 miracles, that a person begins to go through the canonizing process. Father Stallings' position is that Martin Luther King is already a saint. He is just acknowledging that, and he's bringing his congregation into acknowledging that.
The church would agree that Martin Luther King is a saintly person and has had many wonderful qualities, and indeed between him and God, he may be a saint. We can call him a saint if we want, but formally, within the church, you have to go through a process, something like Laverne said. You petition, and ultimately you get to various stages. Miracles have to be worked. It is one of the things going into being a saint. And the person has to be a saintly, holy person, and the final decision is made by the Pope. But he must, or she must, be a Catholic. And Martin Luther King is not a Catholic, so formally Martin Luther King will never be a formal saint.
What we're talking about here,
the point is, he is considered saintly by many Catholics already.
The whole point here, we're talking about symbolism. And the King's birthday is coming up in a couple of days. It's a perfect time to do it. And it is a strong symbol. He's dealing with symbols. And you can't be critical of him about that. It's an excellent way to add a new dimension to the respect for Martin Luther King.
Well, it is clearly a move that begins to once again demystify the whole Catholic Church. That I think that has been one of the things.
What do you mean by demystify the Catholic Church?
Well, I think that what Father Stallings has been able to do is to bring to the lay person and those people who may even be Catholics the whole demystification of the church. He's saying this is a bureaucracy like any other bureaucracy, and this is how we're looking at that bureaucracy.
Well, John Harris, we got about 20 seconds left. Put the bottom line on this. Is this going to be a controversy for Reverend Stallings?
Oh, I think it will. Not for Reverend Stallings. I think this will help him get over some of the turmoil he's been in with his bad publicity, because this is going to be a very popular cause for him and make it all the more difficult for reconciliation with the church.
I think the bottom line is it remains to be seen. We'll be back next week, 3 weeks to the Super Bowl, I think 3 Metro weeks. We're counting. See you then.
Major funding for Metro Week is provided by the members of WETA. Additional funding is provided by Columbia Real Estate Title Insurance Company, chartered in Washington, D.C. in 1881, a wholly owned subsidiary of First American Title Insurance Company.
The civil rights movement changed America forever, but the struggle for full equality continues.
I'm tired of marching. Tired of marching for something that should have been mine at birth.
The call for black power, the urban uprisings, the assassinations, and the political triumphs that have brought America to a racial crossroads. The extraordinary story continues. Eyes on the Prize 2.
See Eyes on the Prize 2, Monday at 9 p.m. The following organizations have made major contributions to support quality programming on WETA Channel 26. Kirkpatrick and Lockhart, attorneys. National Geographic Society. And APCO Associates, the Arnold and Porter Consulting Group. You're watching WETA 26 Washington, D.C., working for a greater Washington by providing programming that meets your needs throughout Maryland, Virginia, and the District.